What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fence. My name is Aaron. Today we're checking out the new album, Through Storms Ahead, by the metalcore band As I Lay Dying. This is the 8th studio album throughout the band's very rocky history. They had a pretty successful run between 2000 and 2014, give or take, dropping some of the best metalcore around with legendary albums like An Ocean Between Us and Shadows Are Security. And after they released Awaken in 2012, vocalist Tim Lebesis tried to hire a hitman to take care of his wife. It was over a lot of things, but I guess the main cause was due to a custody battle, and I'm sure there was a lot of substance abuse involved as well. Thankfully, instead, he actually hired a undercover cop, and he was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison back in around 2014, and the band went on hiatus. They later reunited in 2018 and started releasing singles for their 7th studio album, Shaped by Fire, which was fueled by the passion of the band wanting to continue making music, and also lyrics that were based on redemption and Tim's regret about all the things that had happened. Honestly, it was a pretty solid album, but personally, I haven't listened to it since it came out in 2019. I found it to be kind of unforgettable, just standard metalcore stuff. There wasn't really anything new to it, and it was just kind of run-of-the-mill and formulaic. It did have some bangers. It's just most of the songs were kind of forgettable and they were few and far in between. I kind of just chalked that album up to being a trial run for the rest of the band and everybody to get back into the swing of things and writing together. It did make me curious to hear what they were going to be doing next, though, until Nick Hippa, their guitarist, announced that he was going to leave the band, followed by basically the rest of the band members that were some of my favorite musicians from my childhood, and I looked up to them so freaking much, trying to learn how to play those songs. And it just kind of quit being As I Lay Dying at that point. At least to me, it was just a name now. I then became more curious to see if the album was even going to be released at this point, until they released the first single for it, Burden. And honestly, it was a lot better than I expected. The drum work was intense, the melodic metalcore riffs were fantastic, and since their new drummer and guitarist are ex-Unearthed members, they basically knew what was required of. I mean, they understood the assignment very well. Tim's vocals were in full form. They were a little weak, I guess you could say. They didn't punch through the mix quite like they used to. They didn't demand so much authority anymore. The cleans were great in the chorus, and as far as metalcore goes, again, it was pretty standard stuff, but it was still a blast to listen to. It was something different from what you were used to hearing from As I Lay Dying, at least to a small extent. The second single they released was The Cave We Fear to Enter, and this one leaned a little bit more into the clean vocals, a little bit too much probably for my preference. The guitar riffs and the melodies were still there, they sounded good, but now it was kind of getting into the area that sounded a lot different from what we're used to hearing from this band. I mean, it was a nice touch. It's a nice change of pace, but now it's starting to sound kind of like everything else we can hear on high octane radio. But then they dropped the heaviest song on the album, We Are the Dead, featuring Alex Terrible and Tom Barber. It's super thrashy and quick, and Tom comes in on the pre-chorus and he sounds fantastic as he goes through the first chorus as well. They really worked this songwriting around all three of the vocalists, and it's kind of neat because it gives each of them their own section and it flows through each one really well. Alex gets verse 3 and also the final chorus. It really makes this song feel unpredictable, even though I feel like they could have done a little bit more with these vocalists. It almost feels like wasted talent, but still, this is one of their better songs I feel like they've written since they come back. Whitewash Tomb was the 4th single that they released for this album, and I gotta say right away, I do not like the chorus for this song at all. It's very boring, it's very generic, and it just makes you shake your head. It's so formulaic. There's nothing exciting to it whatsoever. You can see it coming a mile away, just zero effort put into it. It feels like the riffs in the verse are great, though. They're super dynamic. They keep the rhythm going. They just keep you pumped up. But as soon as that chorus comes along, it just dies out. If it wasn't for the chorus, I feel like this would be one of the top songs of the record. But then they gave us the 5th and final single for this album, titled The Void Within, which really shows off again their love for melodic metalcore with some more lead guitar parts, and also Tim's vocals seem to break through the mix a little bit more, which tells me that it's more of a mixing production thing more than his actual performance within the studio. The chorus was a little bit better in the song. It's just hard for them to break away from that cliche sound with the cliche lyrics and the basic melodies with the drums that are more of the focal point along with the vocals. It just feels very overdone within the genre. Speaking of which, the opening track is an instrumental titled Permanence, which reminds me a lot of Separation off of their album An Ocean Between Us. And it's just not quite as epic, I guess you could say. It does transition pretty well into the next song, A Broken Reflection, which has a lightning fast melody that I absolutely loved in the intro. It has a really strong riff, and the vocal cadence in the verse sounds fantastic. But again, the chorus in this one was the weak link, and I feel like this song would be a lot better if they changed it up a little bit and made it not sound like all the other songs that are on this album. However, the cleans in the bridge are huge. They're so good. They're so good in this song. So I know it's not the cleans, it's just the songwriting pretty much. And then we have the title track, which has some of the more colorful kind of melodies in the intro, but it does have one of my favorite riffs that I've heard from this band in quite a long time in the verse. The chorus sounds like the same thing they've written on every single song. It's just another top tier song that's kind of ruined by, you know, the chorus. It's always the chorus. The instrumentation is pretty good on this though. Then we have the song Strength to Survive, which thankfully changes things up at least a little bit. This one goes back to their thrash metal inspirations again, and I feel like this song does better because they mixed things up just a little bit more, specifically with the vocals. They mixed the clean vocals in with the distorted vocals in the verse. The chorus sounds a little bit more unique, at least compared to the other songs on this album, but for some reason I found this one to be super forgettable. It feels very long, kind of repetitive. It's progressive, but there just isn't really a hook. There isn't really anything to remember this song by. With like my third listen, I was still having a hard time remembering what song I was on, when all the other songs, it was very clear just from the intro at least. Then we have the song Gears That Never Stop. I feel like this song was really sick. The vocals and the drum match up really well, but that's kind of about it. But it is a good part of the song, and it makes it very enjoyable. The riffs feel overused. The chorus isn't really that great. The lyrics are decent, but at least the vocals aren't doing the same thing on this song as they are on the other 10 songs. This song also has the best breakdown overall, so I feel like this song has some of the best moments, but also at the same time some of the moments that are just also pretty dull and fall flat. So you get like a little spike of serotonin, and then it just lets you down. Doesn't really go anywhere. And then that brings us to the closing track, Taken From Nothing. Unfortunately, this also falls into their formulaic songwriting. Once again, not much to say here. They have the same lead melodies, same riffs, same drum work, same production, same everything. The breakdown was pretty cool, but all the same, it's a pretty underwhelming song. The riffs and the guitar melodies on this are honestly pretty good. I enjoyed them a lot. Just the only problem is if you have heard 2 songs, you've heard them all. If you listen to the 5 singles that they released on this 11-track album, you basically have heard every guitar melody, every riff, every drum passage, every chorus, everything that you could possibly get out of this album, you could hear on 2 songs, and you could get the best songs out of the singles. Even the mix felt like it could have been a little bit different. Tim's vocals were good, but like at times they felt weak, and you kind of want to blame it on Tim. But then when the mix really lets his vocals shine through, they sound good. So to me, that tells me it's more of a mixing kind of thing. The clean vocals sound fantastic as well. I just wish that they used them differently instead of trying to be super epic with these cheesy lyrics and just very formulaic, lazy songwriting. Luckily for these guys, these songs aren't necessarily bad. It just feels like you're hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So with all that said, I got to give Through Storms Ahead by As I Lay Dying a 5.7 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I have a feeling that a lot of people are actually going to love this album because it's As I Lay Dying. They're not bringing anything new to the table. It's just metalcore riffs, metalcore clean vocals in the chorus and melodies and all the stuff you could possibly want from this band back in 2006, maybe, give or take there. So yeah, leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Through Storms Ahead. Let me know what you'd rate it, what your favorite song is. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. It helps out so much with YouTube's algorithm. And if you want to continue to support me further than that, feel free to subscribe and ring the bell icon. And I just thank you guys so much for doing any of those things, or even just taking time out of your day to listen to me sit here and talk about music. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or night whenever you have me watching this. And I will talk to you guys next time.